Dores, welcome Christmas, bring your light. Fahu fores, Dores, welcome in the cold of night. Welcome Christmas, Fahu Ramos, welcome Christmas, Dahu Damus, welcome Christmas while we stand heart to heart and hand in hand. Trim up the tree with Christmas stuff like bingo balls and hoo-hoo fluff. Trim up the town with goo-goo gums and mistle pigs and wands. Trim every blessed window and trim every blessed door. Hang up woo-boo-hoo bricks, then run out and get some more. Hang patukas on the ceilings, papanunas on the floor. Trim every blessed needle on the blessed Christmas tree. Christmas comes tomorrow, trim you, trim me. Trim up your tree with fuzzle fuzz and flipper bloofs and wuzzle wuzz. Trim up your uncle and your aunt with yards of hoo flat flay.
Every Who down in Whoville liked Christmas a lot, but the Grinch, who lived just north of Whoville, did not. The Grinch hated Christmas the whole Christmas season. Now please don't ask why, no one quite knows the reason. It could be perhaps that his shoes were too tight. It could be his head wasn't screwed on just right. But I think that the most likely reason of all may have been that his heart was 2 sizes too small. But whatever the reason, his heart or his shoes, he stood there on Christmas Eve, hating the Whos, staring down from his cave with a sour, grinchy frown at the warm-lighted windows below in their town. For he knew every Who down in Whoville beneath was busy now hanging a holly Who wreath. And they're hanging their stockings, he snarled with a sneer. Tomorrow is Christmas, it's practically here. Then he growled with his Grinch fingers and nervously drumming. I must find some way to keep Christmas from coming. For tomorrow I know all the Who girls and boys will wake bright and early. They'll rush for their toys and then, oh, the noise and the noise, noise, noise. The one thing I hate, oh, the noise, 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 noise. And they'll shriek, squeaks, and squeals racing round on their wheels. They'll dance with gin tinglers tied onto their heels. They'll blow their fluvers, they'll bang their tartukas, they'll blow their hoo-hoopas, they'll bang their gardukas, they'll spin their trumtukas, they'll slam their slunkas. And they'll play noisy games like Zuzizataze, a roller skate type of lacrosse and croquet. And then they'll make ear-splitting noises galooks on their big, great electro-hucarnio flukes. Then the Whos, young and old, will sit down to a feast. And they'll feast, and they'll feast, and they'll feast, 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 feast. They'll feast on Who pudding and rare Who roast beast. Oh, roast beast is a beast I can't stand in the least. Then they'll do something I hate most of all. Every Who down in Whoville, the tall and the small, they'll stand close together with Christmas bells ringing, and they'll stand hand in hand, and those Whos will start singing.
Fahu fores, Dahu Dores, welcome Christmas, come this way. Fahu fores, Dahu Dores, welcome Christmas, Christmas Day. Welcome, welcome, Fahu Ramos, welcome, welcome, Dahu Damus. Christmas Day is in our grasp, so long as we have hands to clasp.
And they'll sing, and they'll sing, and they'll sing, 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 sing. And the more the Grinch thought of this Who Christmas sing, the more the Grinch thought, I must stop this whole thing. Why, for 53 years I've put up with it now. I must stop Christmas from coming. But how? Then he got an idea. An awful idea. The Grinch got a wonderful, awful idea. I know just what to do, the Grinch laughed in his throat. I'll make a quick Santa Claus hat and a coat. And he chuckled and clucked. What a great Grinchy trick. With this coat and this hat, I'll look just like Saint Nick.
You're a mean one, Mr. Grinch. You really are a heel. You're as cuddly as a cactus. You're as charming as an eel, Mr. Grinch. You're a bad banana with a greasy black peel. You're a monster, Mr. Grinch. Your heart's an empty hole. Your brain is full of spiders. You've got garlic in your soul, Mr. Grinch. I wouldn't touch you with a 39.5-foot pole.
All I need is a reindeer. The Grinch looked around, but since reindeer are scarce, there was none to be found. Did that stop the Grinch? Ha! The Grinch simply said, if I can't find a reindeer, I'll make one instead. So he took his dog Max, and he took some black thread, and he tied a big horn on the top of his head. Then he loaded some bags and some old empty sacks on a ramshackle sleigh, and he whistled for Max. Then the Grinch said, giddy up, and the sleigh started down toward the homes where the Who's lay a snooze in their town. All their windows were dark. No one knew he was there. All the Who's were all dreaming sweet dreams without care, when he came to the first little house on the square. This is stop number 1, the old Grinchy Claus hissed, as he climbed to the roof, empty bags in his fist. Then he slid down the chimney, a rather tight pinch, but if Santa could do it, then so could the Grinch. He got stuck only once for a minute or two, then he stuck his head out of the fireplace flue, where the little Who stockings hung all in a row. These stockings, he grinched, are the first things to go. Then he slithered and slunk with a smile most unpleasant around the whole room, and he took every present, pop guns, pampoogas, pantukas, and drums, checkerboards, bizzlebigs, popcorn, and plums, and he stuffed them in bags. Then the Grinch very nimbly stuffed all the bags one by one up the chimney.
You're a vile one, Mr. Grinch. You have termites in your smile. You have all the tender sweetness of a seasick crocodile, Mr. Grinch. Given the choice between the two of you, I'd take the, seasick crocodile. You're a rotter, Mr. Grinch. You're the king of sinful sots. Your heart's a dead tomato splotched with moldy purple spots, Mr. Grinch. You're a 3-decker sauerkraut and toadstool sandwich with arsenic sauce.
Then he slunk to the icebox. He took the Who's feast. He took the Who pudding. He took the roast beast. He cleaned out that icebox as quick as a flash. Why, that Grinch even took the last can of Who hash. Then he stuffed all the food up the chimney with glee. Now, grinned the Grinch, I will stuff up the tree. As the Grinch took the tree and he started to shove, he heard a small sound like the coo of a dove. He turned around fast and he saw a small Who, little Cindy Lou who was no more than 2. She stared at the Grinch and said,
Santa Claus, why? Why are you taking our Christmas tree? Why?
But you know, that old Grinch was so smart and so slick, he thought up a lie and he thought it up quick. "Why, my sweet little tot," the fake Santa Claus lied, "there's a light on this tree that won't light on one side. So I'm taking it home to my workshop, my dear. I'll fix it up there, and I'll bring it back here." And his fib fooled the child. Then he patted her head, and he got her a drink, and he sent her to bed. And when Cindy Lou Who was in bed with her cup, he crept to the chimney and stuffed the tree up. Then he went up the chimney himself, the old liar, and the last thing he took was the log from their fire. On their walls he left nothing but hooks and some wire, and the one speck of food that he left in the house was a crumb that was even too small for a mouse. Then he did the same thing to the other Who's houses, leaving crumbs much too small for the other Who's mouses.
You nauseate me, Mr. Grinch, with nausea super nos. You're a crooked, dirty ducky, and you drive a crooked horse, Mr. Grinch. Your soul is an appalling dump heap, overflowing with the most disgraceful assortment of rubbish imaginable, mangled up, entangled up knots. You're a foul one, Mr. Grinch. You're a nasty, wasty skunk. Your heart is full of unwashed socks. Your soul is full of gunk, Mr. Grinch. The 3 words that best describe you are as follows, and I quote, stink, stank, stunk.
Na na na.
It was 1:15. All the Who's still abed, all the Who's still a snooze, when he packed up his sled. Packed it up with their presents, their ribbons, their wrappings, their snoof and their fuzzles, their tringlers and trappings. 10,000 feet up the side of Mount Crumpet, he rode with his load to the tip-top to dump it. Pooh-pooh to the Who's, he was Grinchly humming. They're finding out now that no Christmas is coming. They're just waking up, I know just what they'll do. Their mouths will hang open a minute or two, then the Who's down in Whoville will all cry, "Boo hoo!" That's a noise, grinned the Grinch, that I simply must hear. Then he paused, and the Grinch put a hand to his ear. And he did hear a sound rising over the snow. It started in low, then it started to grow.
Fahu forest, Dores, welcome Christmas, come this way. Fahu forest, Dores, welcome Christmas, Christmas Day. Welcome, welcome, Fahu-ramas, welcome, welcome, Dahu-damas. Christmas Day is in our grasp, so long as we have hands to clasp.
But this sound wasn't sad. Why, this sound sounded glad. Every Who down in Whoville, the tall and the small, was singing, without any presents at all. He hadn't stopped Christmas from coming. It came. Somehow or other, it came just the same. And the Grinch, with his Grinch feet ice cold in the snow, stood puzzling and puzzling. How could it be so? It came without ribbons. It came without tags. It came without packages, boxes, or bags. He puzzled and puzzled till his puzzler was sore. Then the Grinch thought something he hadn't before. Maybe Christmas, he thought, doesn't come from a store. Maybe Christmas, perhaps, means a little bit more. And what happened then? Well, in Whoville they say that the Grinch's small heart grew 3 sizes that day. And then the true meaning of Christmas came through, and the Grinch found the strength of 10 Grinches, plus 2. And now that his heart didn't feel quite so tight, He whizzed with his load through the bright morning light. With a smile to his soul, he descended Mount Crumpet, cheerily blowing hoo-hoo on his trumpet. He rode into Whoville, he brought back their toys. He brought back the floof to the Who girls and boys. He brought back their snoof and their tringlers and fuzzles. Brought back their pentukas, their dafflers and wuzzles. He brought everything back, all the food for the feast. And he himself, the Grinch, carved the roast beast. Welcome Christmas, bring your cheer. Cheer to all who's far and near. Christmas Day is in our grasp, so long as we have hands to clasp. Christmas Day will always be, just as long as we have we. Welcome Christmas while we stand, heart to heart, and hand in hand.
You're a vile one, Mr. Grinch. You're a mean... You're a rotter, Mr. Grinch. You're...
Then the true meaning of Christmas came through, and the Grinch found the grit strength of... was that's just funny words. Sorry. That's a funny word.
I'm
sorry.
At what point are you going to take off the wreath?
Never.